The morning Aria Collins turned 19, she didn't get birthday candles. She got a marriage contract. It sat on the kitchen table of their small Chicago apartment, crisp white pages next to a cold cup of coffee her mother hadn't touched. Eleanor Collins, once a proud woman, now broken by debt and desperation, couldn't meet her daughter's eyes. "It's the only way," Eleanor whispered. "We owe the Blackwood Corporation everything, the house, the medical bills, your father's loans, everything." Aria stared at the name printed in bold at the top of the contract. Damian Blackwood, CEO, age 34. She had seen him once, on a magazine cover, sharp jaw, cold eyes, a man who looked like he had never smiled a day in his life. The headline had read, "The Ruthless Billionaire Who Owns Half of Chicago." And now, apparently, he wanted to own her too. 3 days later, Aria stood at the altar of a private chapel in downtown Chicago, wearing a white dress she had never chosen, holding white roses she didn't want. There were no guests except lawyers and a priest who looked uncomfortable. Damian Blackwood stood at the end of the aisle in a perfectly tailored black suit. He didn't smile when she walked toward him. He didn't even blink. He just watched her with those steel gray eyes, unreadable as stone. "This is a business transaction," she reminded herself. Nothing more. The vows were short, cold, legal. When the priest said, "You may kiss the bride," Damian simply turned to the lawyer and said, "Send the signed copies to my office by 4. Aria felt something shrink inside her chest. They rode to his penthouse, in the same black car, sitting on opposite ends of the back seat, complete silence between them. The Chicago skyline glittered outside the window, beautiful, indifferent, exactly like the man beside her. His penthouse was on the 52nd floor, floor-to-ceiling windows, white marble floors, expensive art on the walls that looked like it had never been touched. It was stunning. It was freezing cold in ways that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. A staff member showed her to a guest bedroom, not the master suite, a guest bedroom. Aria told herself she wasn't hurt. She told herself she was relieved. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, still in her wedding dress, shoes off, staring at the floor, when a knock came at the door. Damian stepped in. He had loosened his tie. In one hand he held a small envelope. He crossed the room and stopped in front of her. For a moment he said nothing, just looked at her the way he had at the altar, like he was calculating something, measuring something he couldn't quite name. Then he held out the envelope. "Take it," he said quietly. Aria looked up at him. "What is it?" "Open it." She took it slowly. Inside was a small key, old-fashioned, bronze, and a folded note. She unfolded the note. 2 lines written in sharp, precise handwriting. "This key opens the private library on the 31st floor. It also belonged to my mother. You are the first person I have given it to in 12 years. Aria looked up, confused. "I don't understand." Damian sat down across from her in the chair by the window, elbows on his knees. For the first time, he didn't look like a CEO. He looked like a man carrying something very heavy. "I know what this looks like," he said. "I know what I look like." He paused. "I didn't do this to punish you. I did this because your father came to me 6 months before he died and asked me to make sure you and your mother were protected. He said you were too proud to accept charity." A pause. He was right. "So I did it the only way you'd accept." Aria's throat tightened. "You knew my father? He worked for me for 11 years. He was the most honest man I have ever employed." Something moved in Damian's eyes. Something that looked, just briefly, like grief. "The debt your family owes? I forgave it the day he died. The contract your mother signed, it's not what she thinks it is. You're not trapped here, Aria. You never were." The room was completely silent. "Then why?" Her voice broke. "Why the wedding? Why all of this?" Damian stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city. "Because I made a promise to a dying man who loved his daughter more than anything in the world. He wanted you protected, provided for, and free." He turned slightly. "The marriage gives you legal access to resources that a charity check never could. It gives you options. Education, safety, a future without looking over your shoulder." He paused. "What you do after that is entirely your choice." Aria looked down at the small bronze key in her palm. His mother's key. 12 years, untouched. She didn't sleep that night. She took the key at 2 in the morning and rode the elevator down to the 31st floor. The library was behind a heavy wooden door that creaked softly when she pushed it open. She gasped. It was floor-to-ceiling books. Thousands of them, old and new, every wall covered. A fireplace, 2 velvet armchairs, soft lamps. It smelled like cedar and old paper and something warm. It looked like the only real room in the entire building. On the table beside one of the armchairs was a single book, left open like someone had just been reading it. Arya picked it up. Inside the front cover, in faded ink, were the words, "For Damien, the world is wider than your walls. Love, Mom." Arya sat down in the chair and cried. She didn't fully know why. Maybe for her father. Maybe for a man who built 52 floors of ice around one warm room. Maybe for herself, a 19-year-old girl who had walked into a cage and found out the door was never locked. Weeks passed. Then months. Arya began using the library every night. And every few nights Damien was already there, reading or working, or just sitting in the other chair in silence. Slowly the silence changed. It became comfortable, then it became conversation, then it became something neither of them had a clean word for. He taught her how the business world worked. She told him what she wanted to study, international law. He enrolled her in the best program in the country without being asked. She confronted him about it. He said, "Your father mentioned it once. I remembered." She didn't know what to do with a man like that. One evening she asked him directly, "Did you ever plan to let it become real?" Wineve looked at her over the edge of his book for a long moment. "I planned to give you a key," he said. "Everything else was your choice." Arya Collins had walked into a billionaire's world at 19, expecting a prison. What she found instead was a bronze key, a library built for a boy whose mother wanted him to know the world was bigger than his pain, and a man who never once asked her to stay, which, she was slowly learning, was exactly why she wanted to.